What's the best, forgot to turn off the mic story during virtual learning? I had to defend my thesis over Zoom and many professors came into the call to watch. My thesis was about immune response in fish to parasites. One professor joined late and forgot to mute her mic and we got treated to this little gem. Sure, mommy is learning about fish parasites, which is what you'll get if you don't stop peeing in the koi pond. Well, it happened in one of the classes. The teacher was going through a rough time and the class could feel it. We assured her that we had done our homework and that she could take rest for the time being. She agreed and told she would switch her mic off and sleep for a while, as we did whatever. Her husband was right beside her and the mic wasn't turned off. She told, "I am so lucky to have these students," and started sobbing to her husband. We all heard this, but kept quiet to prevent her being embarrassed. She slept well during that time and we sent her a thank you gift collectively. This is from a couple of years ago. I was working for a private college which has several campuses. My campus was the online campus. Each year the campuses took turns hosting an annual writing conference for English speech faculty. With it being the online campus's turn to host, we came up with the idea to make it a virtual conference which faculty members could attend from home or go to their own campus, and attend with their peers in a classroom. Anyway, as one of the people on the conference committee, my job was to host several of the various breakout sessions. Make sure the WebEx meeting was working, introduce the presenter of the session, monitor the Q&A, etc. I also made sure to mute the participants once it was time for the speaker to start, so there was no live mic scenario, but one of the participants left his webcam on. During the presentation, he whips out a gigantic party sub and is just going to town on it. So while everyone is watching the presenter's PowerPoint, you just see this guy, who I had met before and was a legit 6 feet 8 inches, just scarfing down a party sub in a window in the bottom of the screen. Honestly, it was more impressive than anything. So I just did 8-hour Zoom calls for 7 weeks training for a new project. On the second week, a man unmutes his call, farts the longest fart I've ever heard in my life, then when he finishes, mutes the call. I can see others laughing while muted at his fatal error of thinking he wasn't muted and so he went to mute his call. I found this to be the highlight of the week, but the following week the guy does it again. Honestly, the second time I laughed, but then started to wonder if it was some kind of power move. In a math class I was in last year, we were taking a test, which you have to turn your mic on for, their way of trying to prevent cheating. Some girl apparently forgot that hers was on and started belting out Stand By You by Rachel Platten at the top of her lungs. It went on for the entire song and she was still humming it when I finished the test and left the call. I was producing a video for some university professors on a specific medical thing for a virtual learning course. I was all set up to shoot the process, and the teachers excused themselves to the next office to regroup and have a chat. I already had their wireless lav mics attached and fed to my camera, so when I sat down at the camera and put on my headphones I immediately heard their conversation. They were criticizing me, saying they couldn't believe they hired someone so young, inexperienced in that particular medical field, how I looked, how I asked questions, etc. Oops! At least I made them a fine video. These days I don't put my headphones on until we're about to shoot. 1. My personal rule wearing a lav is to assume the mic is on the whole time I'm wearing it. Sub-rule, don't trash talk the crew on set. 2. Good job making them a fine video. That's the mark of a pro, doing a quality job even if the client talent are insufferable egomaniacs. 3. It's amazing how some medical people forget that they weren't born knowing everything about their field. I guarantee they were once inexperienced and asked stupid questions. Ask them to explain white balance, and they would probably say it has something to do with racial equality. During my English class, this one girl forgot to mute herself. While my teacher was talking, she almost deafened all of us on the Zoom call answering her mother's questions. Her mother, from a distance, "What class are you in?" Her, yelling English. Her mother, "Oh, the hot teacher." Her, "Yeah, that guy." Now, even I'll admit my teacher is fairly attractive, but it does take it to another level when you get your own mother involved. Thankfully, our teacher is a chill guy and thought the whole thing was just kind of funny, and kind of just gave a general reminder to the class to keep mics muted. She didn't say anything for the rest of the class. I'm a college student. Last semester we had a girl place an entire dinner order over the phone with her mic on while we all tried to tell her that her mic was on. I think she had us muted. She was ordering Mediterranean food. I think she got a chicken gyroscope. I'm not a student, but work in the tech industry. I've been in meetings where people forget to mute themselves on large company calls, with hundreds or thousands of attendees, and we'll hear a fart and then a toilet flush. That's about as interesting as these meetings get though. I had a student's boyfriend, both college, walk up behind her on Zoom, reach into her shirt, pull out her breasts, and start doing a little boob dance. She was just laughing and playfully slapping his hands away. This was probably 30 seconds after I had just gone through my whole speech of making sure there was nothing in your browser history, Google search history, or names of folders that could be embarrassing or offensive. College student here. This was last semester, so it was when we had first switched to all online. I had an 8 a.m. class that was Renaissance through modern art history. Anyway, this kid in the class didn't have his mic muted and he was snoring. Like snoring. My poor professor tried to wake him up, and couldn't. She also had no idea how to mute him or kick him out, so we went on with the lecture. After about 5 minutes she finally said, "I can't fucking teach to this," and ended the Zoom meeting. The rest of the semester we used VoiceThread instead. This was work, not school, but someone posted a drawing of a Hello Kitty type character on the side of their presentation during a virtual meeting. One of my co-workers mumbled, "Damn, fat-ass witch," when I looked again, yeah, the character had a pear body shape. It was such a weird thing for someone to say, though my brain just dismissed it as me mishearing it until they panicked a second later, and apologized for not being on mute, and then I fully proceeded it. Additional context, co-worker is a 50-plus mother of 3. It isn't too bad, but during the graduating ceremony for a class, all staff were asked to attend and turn on their mic to clap at certain points so it wouldn't be awkward. One such staff member forgot to turn their mic back off and was heard loudly jokingly insulting her husband and asking for another drink, whilst complaining about how long and boring this was. This was broadcast to a whole class, their parents, and anyone else listening. We stuck together and didn't tell anyone who it was, but we all knew. While giving a lecture on the heated arguments among different schools of psychology, our prof screamed, "Fire, fire, there is fire," and most of the confused students, included the teacher's pets, replied, "I agree." Those were some lit points. Things turned out funnier and scarier when the prof went on with the screaming, and we could hear her calling her house help and brother, alarming them of a fire sparking up her switchboard. So yeah, a confused, concerned class of 50 sat through the entire episode of turning out the fire, while our prof revealed every dynamic of their family through her freaked-out screams. And 30 minutes later she comes back to her lappy to unmute herself only to find 100, "Are you okay?" texts in the chat box. A student's mother had the habit of standing just off camera and very closely observing her kid. I know this because one time the student forgot to disable the mic. Everyone heard how the mother was coaching the student how to act. Don't look my way, smile, pay attention. It was next-level helicoptering, right on the edge of abuse in my opinion. Our school has a good counselor and the student is getting help. All the teachers have been advised to limit contact with the mother and not make waves, lest she withdraw the student or redouble her controlling behavior. I worry about it. During one of the lectures, our cat came into the room and jumped into my lap. I proceeded to tell him how very cute he is and how much I love him, in the stupidly sweetest voice possible because he's the best boy. Then, a full minute or two into me praising the cat, a message popped up from my classmate saying I'm unmuted. I had a mini spook and replied with, "Oh ha ha ha, I was just talking to him," plus a picture of the cat. It was extra awkward because I walk around with a resting bitch face and barely talk to anyone when we're at uni. So my classmate later admitted that the only reason no one warned me sooner was because it didn't occur to them that the person with this sweet voice was me. The president of the uni I attended, until 2007, was presenting something with a bunch of other important people. This was being recorded for later upload and right when the pandemic was starting, around March 2020. His wife appears in the middle of the talk mad as hell, telling him to go clean the toilet and that she's not her slave to clean his shit. A few very awkward seconds later he just says, "Maybe we have to edit this out later." Now imagine how viral this must have been. I haven't had any ties to the uni since 2007, yet somehow the video got to my WhatsApp.